At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps.
Observations TFR, 9:30 a.m. Pacific, 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday.
What's going on, people? Welcome to another great episode of hashtag Observations TFR. It is Miscellaneous Mondays. That's right. It's Miscellaneous Mondays. What is the topic for the day? The Super Bowl. That's right. The Super Bowl that you watch. The phone lines are open. 213-943-3358. 213-943-3358. The Super Bowl happened. But did you see the real Super Bowl? Oh, we have video presentations. We're going to show you the real Super Bowl. What was really going on. What you didn't see, plus it's Miscellaneous Mondays where we talk about what you possibly didn't see over the weekend. But did you see the weekend? What about Black History Month and all this? What about Black History Month? Before we get started, we have to say what's up to my special co-host, my sister Tonya M. Congress. What's going on with you this morning? How you feeling? How you doing?
I am doing swell this morning. I can't say I had a decent amount of sleep. I don't know what's going on with the sleep at this time, but I still feel good because, as I was telling you guys, I have been doing some intermittent fasting, and I've also been taking particular supplements, which I am going to begin to let you guys know about. I'm one of those people that I don't just promote stuff to be promoting it. I try it to see its effectiveness before, because I'm not one of those people that get involved in things and just sell, just to be selling. Oh, this is a good product. No, I have to try the product. It worked for me. All right, let's see what we can do here. And then I can reasonably get behind it in full force and say, yeah, I can stand behind this product because I tried it and I know that it works like it says it does, right? So today I have my coffee with my something called Ready a Mushroom in there. And it's aids in weight loss, but this is a coffee that already comes pre-creamed. And that's part of the product that I'm taking, which will remain nameless until I try about 3 more things on the list. But so far, so good. So I feel wonderful. I have the energy without feeling that jitteriness that you get with caffeine in the coffee, so it's really good. But I'm upset because I don't have my fruit. I don't have my apples. I don't have oranges because my grocery order is running late. Late. So we know how that goes. But anyway, we're going to be all right with this coffee. I'm ready to get things going. We had a packed weekend. We had some things going this weekend.
Yeah, had some things going.
That's right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. For me, the day is as well as can be expected under the circumstances. We are in the middle of a coronavirus, a pandemic that seems to be spreading, and the virus seems to be mutating. So, hey. So that's why it's very important to have the spot mask. That's right. Order the spot mask today. Get your smartphone out. Turn to your PayPal. Click on your PayPal QR code. Scan the QR code right there, and you will be able to order the mask. Make sure you include your name and your shipping address, and we will have it out to you in 7 to 10 days. So make sure you use that right there. Also, we have, my sister was speaking of intermediate fasting or intermittent fasting. And of course we have the latest tea called fast thing. Take your regular QR code on your smartphone and scan the QR code, and you're able to go straight to our fundraising page and order this t-shirt to have in your collection of t-shirts, designed by yours truly. It will be a great added piece and a collector's item in a few years, no doubt about that, right? So make sure that you go on ahead and order your tea. Also, let us say, because we have to start the show with solemnness this morning, because over the weekend, Leon Spinks Jr., the person to beat Muhammad Ali at the time, youngest to beat Muhammad Ali at the time, has died of complications from cancer. He died from complications of prostate cancer. He was 67 years old, right? Or 67 years young, right? So that's solemnness there, right there. What's up to Millie Mills? I see that you're watching this morning. Appreciate you watching this morning. Also, Ron Wright, 67, Republican representative from Arlington, Texas, has passed from COVID-19, right? So let's open up on Leon Spinks and give a little information about Leon Spinks, as we are here to fight this virus. This information comes in later, so I wasn't able to get a graphic for either one of these two individuals, but we're going to read just a little bit about Leon Spinks, and then we're going to talk about Representative Ron Wright. And I have a question. I thought that the representatives on Capitol Hill had taken the experimental virus. So experimental agent. So I'm trying to figure out how people are possibly passing on. So let's start with Leon Spinks first.
Leon Spinks, born July 11th, 1953, departed February 5th, 2021, was an American professional boxer who competed from 1977 to 1995. In only his 8th professional fight, he won the undisputed heavyweight champion in 1978 after defeating Muhammad Ali in a split decision, in what was considered one of the biggest upsets in boxing history. Spinks was later stripped of the WBC title for facing Ali in an unapproved rematch 7 months later, which he lost by unanimous decision. Besides being heavyweight champion, his characteristic gap-toothed grin, due to losing 2 and later all 4 of his front teeth, Spinks gained notoriety for his disaster, which befell his career following the loss to Ali. However, he did challenge once more for the WBC heavyweight title in 1981, losing to Larry Holmes by TKO in the 3rd round, and the WBA cruiserweight title in 1986, losing to Dwight Muhammad Qawi by TKO in the 6th round. As an amateur, Spinks won numerous medals in the light heavyweight division. The first was bronze at the inaugural 1974 World Championships, followed by silver at the 1975 Pan American Games and gold at the 1976 Summer Olympics. The latter alongside his brother Michael Spinks, who won middleweight gold. Leon served in the United States Marine Corps from 1973 to 1976. Spinks also had a brief career as a professional wrestler in the 1990s, working for Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling, FMW, and holding the FMW brass knuckles heavyweight championship in 1992.
Well, you see that. Do you see that he had an illustrious life outside? And I remember meeting him briefly here in Las Vegas, right? But he looked emaciated then, but now we realize what was going on at the time, right? So I understand it now, but I thought it was something else, honestly. But let's keep moving. Now we have Ron Wright. He dies after an 18-day battle with COVID-19. Ron White is the representative for Arlington, Texas. He's 67 years old. He's the same age as Leon Spinks. It's amazing, but because I thought that all of the representatives over there in Washington had taken the COVID-19. And remember back when the siege on the Capitol took place. Remember when the siege on the Capitol took place, and I said that they walked back in there too fast and we would be figuring out who had taken the shot and who hadn't, because those people were probably spraying down, and the accelerationists, and they were spraying down and making sure that the surfaces had the COVID from spit, saliva, etc., whatever they needed to do, because they said that's what they would do, right? And so people are coming down with this now. He believed that he came down with it because of a person having it, and you'll be able to read that in the writing about his passing, Tonya. So let's go on through there and read that, not so much the Wikipedia about him, but about his passing, because within there they talk about what he did and who he did. So let's talk about that real quick with the Ron Wright, WHIGHT.
Okay. I'm sorry, I neglected to say how Leon Spinks died. So he had been diagnosed with advanced prostate cancer in 2019, and he died in Henderson, Nevada on February 5th.
Right.
Okay, GOP Rep Ron Wright dies following COVID-19 diagnosis. Republican Rep Ron Wright of Texas has died. His congressional office announced in a statement Monday saying that he had been admitted to the hospital after contracting COVID-19. Congressman Ron Wright passed away peacefully at the age of 67, February 7, 2021. His wife Susan was by his side, and he is now in the presence of their Lord and Savior. The statement read, for the previous 2 weeks, Ron and Susan had been admitted to Baylor Hospital in Dallas after contracting COVID-19. Wright is the first sitting member of Congress to die after contracting COVID. In December, Congressman-elect Luke Letlow died after being diagnosed with the disease. Wright's congressional office announced that he had tested positive for COVID on January 21st, with the congressman saying, at the time in the statement, I'm experiencing minor symptoms, but overall, I feel okay and will continue working for the people of the 6th District from home this week. Let's see here.
That's it. That's enough. Listen, that's about the 2-week incubation period, right? That's like the 2-week incubation period for COVID, and I'm wondering how many more people are going to catch this from other people. You can tell people who didn't take the shot, right? That's what we had said on the show about now. It's a month ago, right? Because today is the 7th, right? And we talked about it the day after, so it's exactly a month from when we originally talked about it. And we said it would be about, we know after the 2 weeks, and sure enough, here's one. But if he had taken the shot, he wouldn't have it, right? Would I be right? Would I be right about that, Tonya? He wouldn't have it, or is this some kind of misinformation that the media is giving? Because now they're saying that even if you do get the experimental agent, you will still have to wear a mask. I don't understand. I thought vaccines were supposed to protect you from the virus or whatever virus is supposed to protect you from, and you will be able to go on with regular life. I don't understand it. I don't understand it. What do you have to say about that?
You know, what I have to say is basically, I don't think they know what the heck they're talking about, and they don't know what they're doing, because every time they think they got it locked in, here comes another variable that they haven't seen before. So now this is a game of grasping at straws or throwing stuff against the wall to see what sticks. It's like you don't know. You don't know. I think it's too many different ways to slice the pie. It's like some of it has to do with your genetic makeup. Some of it has to do with the environment. Some of it has to do with your immune system, what you have done prior to this disease coming, and what you are continuing to do or not do. I think it has to do with all of those things, and it also has to do with the fact that you don't know when it's going to mutate. You don't know how many times it's going to mutate. You don't know. Nobody knows anything. So everybody just, you got the experts. You put them up there, i.e. Dr. Fauci and whoever else. They're supposed to be the experts, but they don't know either. So what you do is that you wake up every morning and you go within, and whatever your specific instructions are for your body is what's going to be given to you. And that's what time it is with me. That's what time it is. I go what I get each day for what I'm supposed to do. That's it. That's it. And there will be no vaccine, no experimental agents here. That's not going to happen.
All right. So we got through the more solemn situation, right? Let's go to some memes. You know how we started off before we get to the main topic. So let's open up. Dr. Boyce Watkins. Dr. Boyce Watkins, politics makes strange bedfellows. Good morning to Tracy Latrice. Good morning. Jay-Z to the hashtag NFL. I can make your Kaepernick problem go away if you let my mediocre artist sing at your hashtag Super Bowl. I can make your Kaepernick problem go away if you let my mediocre artist sing at your hashtag Super Bowl. Obviously, he is speaking of none other than The Weeknd. Did you see The Weeknd during the halftime show at the Super Bowl? Did you see The Weeknd? And you can feel free to type in the comment section on FB on the Film Review Live channel, right, on YouTube, and in the comment section in FB, right? Now listen. Did you see The Weeknd? This is what we need to know, right? There's a lot of memes that have gone on, and my wife was sitting there and she was listening to The Weeknd, and she was like, no, it's just something's not right. So originally when he first came on, I couldn't hear his vocal, right? I couldn't hear The Weeknd's vocal, so we turned the TV up, and then once I caught his vocal, I was able to then turn the TV down because I was able to catch his vocal. But the reason why I can't catch his vocal, I think it started with his third or fourth album. He started to really record in a lot of treble. It's a lot of treble heavy treble heavy sounding, not a lot of low end sounding. The low end must ring, but if you're listening to it in a system that doesn't have, a bass bottom, or even if you're listening to bass bottom, you somehow have to turn the bass up, and he's like playing. And I noticed that even his older stuff is really treble heavy now. I don't know if that's how he's hearing it now. I don't know what it is, but his ears are hearing treble heavy mix on the records, treble heavy. Also, The Weeknd makes me feel like a cokehead, and I don't do drugs. I like him though. That's what this meme came up and said. Also, The Weeknd makes me feel like a cokehead, and I don't do drugs. I like him though. He made that person who posted that feel like they're on a cokehead, because the music is in such trebles. It's all in the highs. Like, the highs are really high, and then his vocal is in the high instead of the low high to mid. I mean, it's really something. It's really something to listen to and to behold. Trace of the Tree says, not his best performance. They had the audience screaming for him, and it's just really something. Go ahead.
See, they screaming because he's what most people call cute these days. He likes skin and whatever. He's supposed to be cute, so they screaming for that. But I never have. I mean, when there's been an upsurge of these falsetto singing dudes, and we always had singers who were able to go into the falsetto, like you had the El DeBarge and stuff like that. But El DeBarge stayed on key. El DeBarge can still sing in that falsetto, and he can go into his head voice as well. But I had to, while you were speaking, I was able to go into the performance on my phone to hear what you were talking about, because I hadn't had a chance to, listen to it. And to me, it is I mean, people like him, and he's carved his niche or whatever, but I've never been a Weeknd fan. I mean, when I first became familiar with him, it was through the what was that series, the movie series, 50 Shades of Grey, and I guess the title track for that song, for that movie, he came out, and that's where he got his that gave him a big break in that movie series. But I just he never caught on to me. I see mediocre, but then people might take me to task on this, but I think the listening audiences of today are mediocre as well. They don't have an expectation, so the record labels, like they always have, always come up with their copies of different artists or whatever, and it's just boring. It's lackluster, and this is what's happening. You put them on a live show, they can't carry their weight. You put them on a live show. Now, what's that boy's name? He plays several instruments, and he's from the island somewhere, and he did Uptown Funk. What's that guy's name?
That is, it's on the tip of my tongue. That is Bruno Mars. Mars.
Now he is a young cat that's from the old school, and he's legit. When they put him on a live, show, a halftime show, he brought the heat. Why? Because he's really an instrumentalist. He's really a performer, really a singer. So he's not getting by on his charm, looks, and personality. He's getting by on raw talent. You understand? So when you put a person like this up there, they're not going to ever be able to pull weight in a live halftime show like this. They're not going to be able to do it. Not against somebody who's a real instrumentalist and a real artist.
Like Prince. There's a meme going around. We'll probably show it tomorrow. during Tasty Tuesdays. There's a meme going around with Prince where it says, the look you have on your face when, you know, your Super Bowl performance is still number one no matter where. Something like that it says. But it's a hilarious meme. Let's move forward here. Let's look at positive mind, positive vibes, positive life. Positive mind, positive vibes, positive life. I thought that was a good meme to, you know, put up. I thought that was pretty good. Now, speaking of a person that's usually of positivity, Ayanla, hope I'm pronouncing her name right, because I remember when she toured to Basden on his show. My name is Ayanla Van Zant, right? Hope I'm pronouncing it right. The only relationship we can have is the relationship we have with the quote-unquote self. Everything else is a reflection of that relationship. The only relationship we can have is the relationship we have with the self. Everything else is a reflection of that relationship. So in other words, if we love ourselves, then our relationships will be so much better and they will manifest to show that we love others because we love ourselves, because that is what the real relationship is yourself. Right? Now, speaking of Ayanla Van Zant, oh, I'm pronouncing it correctly. I wouldn't want her to tear into me because I would tear back. But anyway, look. Because I don't suffer from low self, I suffer from high. You should come and give me your real government. But anyway, that's another time for another. But you know, she's a good person. But you know, remember we talk about how Discovery Channel now has OWN, and you know, Discovery Channel is known for having shows on that have to do with the Wild Kingdom. Now that's, I'm just gonna be kind to say, the Wild Kingdom of Discovery type things, you know, wild animals and all that. And somehow I don't know how OWN fits in. Good morning, Miss Ash. Good morning and afternoon, Miss Ash. I see that she's tuned in. Listen, it's like, you know, I don't know how OWN fits into being on a platform that's usually about discovering wild animals and exotic places and exotic things, right? But it is Oprah Winfrey's own. Well, you know, she doesn't own it anymore. She sold it all, and now she has stock options in Discovery, right? It's funny that this would happen because Ayanla Van Zant has said that she will no longer be doing her show because of the disrespect factor that she experiences from the guests that come on Ayanla Fix My Life. And it's funny that she would do that, as you know, the channel is acquired by Discovery, and anyone looking at it would think of it the same way, that this is like kind of like looking at black people as animals. It's like kind of like animalistic, you know, like looking at the black folks as animals, right? Because they've got this new show called Bells of, what is it, Mississippi? No, Bells of Mississippi, right? Mississippi Bells. That's what it is called, Mississippi Bells. And if these women don't get up there and just argue over the most craziest things, and it's like Wild Kingdom, right? It's like Wild Kingdom. And so Ayanla, who is demure and a lady, American black woman, has decided to chime out, to tap out of OWN, that is now owned by Discovery Channel. What do you think about that?
I am, I just had to pull up that Bells of Mississippi. I see the cover on it, but see, here it is. It's a layer of things going on here. You had brought that to our attention before on hashtag TFR podcast live when you were talking about how, because I think it was another series that was on as well, and you had brought up the fact that OWN had been sold to that other channel, and the thing about Wild Kingdom and all that stuff, and animalistic type stuff. And some people might say, oh man, that's a reach, that's a stretch. Man, do you see everything in that kind of light? You see it? Yeah, absolutely, because the problem is things have been passed right under our nose, and we don't say anything. If someone passed a plate of hot doo-doo under your nose, are you going to act like you don't smell it? You understand? You have to see things for what they are, and you got to speak on them. Now, I can tell by looking at these women on here, I can tell this is a mess already. I can tell this is one of these shows that will get on my last nerve. I can tell that right there. And we watch this stuff, and it becomes entertainment. For some, it's edutainment. Because they're going to leave right off them channels and conduct their lives like that. And I'm going to explain to you about the psyche of a human being. When you sit and you watch that stuff, if you don't have any filter, if you don't have anything with which to block and catch the crap and filter out the toxins, you're going to adapt some of those ways of speaking. You're going to adapt some of those ways of acting. The next time the opportunity presents itself in your family, you're going to be coming on fly like that. And what you'll do is you'll come up on real ones like me who are consistent with everything and find yourself punched in the mouth. So these are the types of things that are being propagated on TV and used to represent us to a society who may not be so familiar with us. They don't interact with us on a daily basis. So they're coming to know what they think is us from TV shows like this. And then they'll turn around, they'll come and try to say something flippant, trying to identify, and they'll get punched in the mouth. So it's like, this stuff right here, we have to call it out and wake you up even if it ticks you off. We have to let you know these are plates of hot doo-doo.
Now, I really don't worry about what Caucasians think because, they've got the Housewives of Orange County. Thank you, Tracy Latrice. It's called Bell Collective. A bunch of
yeah, I see it.
Yeah. It's a bunch of asses in heat on that show. That's what I'll say. That's how I will classify it. It's a couple of yakkies. It's a bunch of yakkies in heat, wearing yakky, a bunch of yakkies in heat, yelling at each other. And that's why Ayala has bowed out of OWN once it was put on to Discovery, acquired by Discovery. Now, as far as the larger culture and their Housewives of Orange County, Housewives of this, Housewives of that, and them acting a fool and being drug addicts and drug users and everything else, we come to this right here. See, it's one thing. Oprah had a older interview that she conducted with Cicely Tyson. right? And she had an older interview that she conducted with Cicely Tyson, but she used it to push her book. And what you find when you listen to the interview is that Cicely Tyson, outside of the characters that she played, she was good on the page. But off the page, she really doesn't have a true opinion on anything, especially at the end of the interview when she asked her about God. She really didn't have an answer, or was she covering because she's more like her cousin, the Honorable Minister, and the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, right? Was she covering? Now, this is an article from Yahoo News. You know, Yahoo News has been putting it down. I've noticed that Yahoo News is a pretty good outlet for news ever since we found out about the accelerationists and their duty, if they caught COVID, to spread COVID through spray bottles and saliva and spitting on buttons in elevators, spitting on fruit in the grocery store, spitting on or rubbing down steel rails on trains that people would hold wherever their hands would go. Sooner or later, their hands would come down and touch their eyes, and then they would catch the virus, right? So Yahoo is a reliable place. Now, parents allowed to remove students from Black History Month lessons at this particular school, as if it were an elective. Parents allowed to remove students from Black History Month lessons, right? Now, I don't know about you, but I really don't care if, you know, the people choose to not know about Black people because they have chosen not to know. But some of these are the very same people who clung on to Black culture as far as music was concerned in the 1950s, right? Some of these very people who are talking about taking their children from out of these classes, some of the very ones who caught on and loved rock and roll, which was actually R&B, and we talked about that on part one of a series that we have for Black History Month on hashtag TFR Podcast Live. It comes on Sundays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern on the Film Review Live channel on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you subscribe to You Found the Spot channel also on YouTube. So having these people not care, you know, or not care to have their kids to know, one, it's a defense mechanism. Let me bring this down so that you can hear me, you can see me clearly as I say what I say. One, it is a defense mechanism on their part because when they actually research their so-called history of making civilization, most of their history of making civilization was co-opted from the originators of civilization, which were Black people on the planet Earth, right? Most of the scholars that they say that they have learned from Black scholarship first. Took what they could understand and tossed the rest, right? So automatically, you know, them not wanting to have their kids hear about Black history is because once they hear about it, they say, well, what did we actually do? What did we actually invent? Well, what is white history? There is no such thing, but we're constantly being bombarded by this thing called his story, which is really our story co-opted, right? So Tonya, if you would look up this article, it's on Yahoo News, news.yahoo.com. Parents allowed to remove students from Black History Month lessons, right? And let's read a little bit and let's see if there's a justification for removing your children other than a defense mechanism, because they will discover that they really, as the classification of white, have really done nothing but steal. So do you have it? Do you have it?
Here.
Okay.
I need to look this up the other way.
Okay, just parents allowed to remove students from Black History Month lessons. Will come up that way, right? So we can go through this real quick, go through a couple of paragraphs of it, and, discuss. Very important to discuss, right?
Oh, okay, let's see what this brings up. Here we go. All right, so, of course, Utah, good old Utah, the capital of hope. Officials at a Utah charter school said few families asked that their children be excluded from the Black History Month curriculum. A charter school in northern Utah is allowing parents to opt students out of its Black History Month curriculum, and the decision has sparked a debate. Micah Harakiah, director of the Maria Montessori Academy, said on the school's Facebook page on Friday that he reluctantly sent out a letter explaining families are allowed to exercise their civil right to not participate in Black History Month at the school, according to NBC News. Harakawa said few families asked that their children be excluded from the instruction related to the Black History Month, but he declined to give the exact number of parents or their reasons for making the request. We should not shield our children from the history of our nation, the mistreatment of its African American citizens, and the bravery of civil rights leaders, but should educate them about it, Hirakawa said, adding that the parents' request saddens and disappoints him. Maria Montessori Academy, which serves elementary and middle school students, incorporates Black History Month into its regular social studies and history lessons throughout the month of February, according to Hirakawa. Hirakawa, who is of Asian descent, said his social media post goes against his personal beliefs. As someone whose great-grandparents were sent to a Japanese internment camp, he said he sees value in teaching children about the mistreatment challenges and obstacles that people of color have had to endure in the United States, NBC News reported. Data from the United States Utah State Board of Education shows that the 322 students attending the academy, only 3 students are Black, while about 70% are white. Some parents disagree with the school's decision, arguing that giving parents the right to opt out of the Black History curriculum enables racism.
Interesting. Isn't that interesting, people? Listen. The Utah should be the last state out of all the states in the union to let parents opt out at a charter school, right? Using civil rights to say that they don't have to go and learn this is like a slap in the face. You see how they take the set-asides and they flip it around on it and say, hey, you know what? What it is here's an Asian person who is doing the best that he can as an Asian to teach black history, right? But if they really got a true black history historian in as a auxiliary teacher, right? If they got as an auxiliary teacher a American black historian, and they start to tell the truth, our history is not a woe is me history. There are points in it that you would say, hey, but we built everything, and if we took everything that we built with us, if we were to depart, like to go back to, I'm still waiting 213-943-3358. When are you leaving? When are you going back to Africa? Those who believe that we are more African than American black. When are you leaving? The phone lines are open. But anyway, if we were to depart and go back to colonize Africa, and we took all of our inventions with us and said, no, you can't use them because we have patents on them as a nation within a nation, then the comforts of life, people will be jumping, Caucasians will be jumping off the buildings. Okay? Caucasians will be jumping off the building. Okay? But, so here's my point. If they had a teacher in there that was actually a black, American black, and a true black historian, they would use Black History Month to teach the Utahns, I guess that's what they would be called, the Utahns, the truth in history, and then they will find out if they are Mormon. Who's the creator of Mormonism? If they find out, they will say, well, wait a minute, how could this guy have seen Christ come over and create this Mormon religion when all of this was already settled by black people before the 388,000 landed on the shore from the transatlantic slave trade? What's the dude? Joseph, what's his name? Joseph. Anyway, they know that their whole premise, a lot of them who still are Mormons or what is that? The Church of Latter-day Saints? A lot of their foundation will be shaken because they will find that a lot of the tenets and the premise of their religion was taken from black religions. Yes, that's right, people. What is the person's name? Joseph something. I forget. I forget his name. It's kind of like the Jehovah's Witness. I forget. What is his name? Okay, I have you up. What's going on? Say something. Okay, I have you up. Let me see something. Yeah, the phone lines are up. Let me see. Oh, your phone dropped. It says, oh, got you. All right, you are on. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay, Joseph Smith.
Joseph Smith, that's right. So a lot of their tenets would be shaken, so I can see why certain parents would not want their children to know about black history. Not the woe is me kind, but the kind where they find out and they discover that a lot of the things that were supposedly made by this particular group were actually made by black people here on this continent. Okay, let's keep moving.
Let me say something about the Mormons real quick.
Okay, let me bring this down because we don't want to have that up while we discuss this. Go ahead.
They are funny because initially they did not allow blacks into the Mormon religion, but now there are segments of them. They Actually, they built a huge place here right across the street from, I forget the name of that church. It's a church that's a cult, and it has two lions out in front of it, and it's Daddy Grace or Father Grace or something is named as the pastor there. But right across the street, they built this big edifice. And so they had been around 2009, 2010, they had been walking the neighborhoods like the Jehovah's Witnesses and coming door to door and offering to do a good deed. They were in apartment buildings, and they got this weird, euphoric look. Like all of a sudden they're getting ready to start singing the Star Trek theme. Oh, you know, and they have this wide eye. They're like, hi, can we help do something here at your house? Can we cut your grass? Can we help you with your groceries? With these wide eyes, look like they done took some drugs or something, and they're looking like, hi, and they're talking all this, like the guys are real lightweight, and they you know, they got on their suits and ties, shirts and ties, but they're really light, and they speak really genteel, and then the women are like, hi, you know, and it's like,
they're like,
hi,
are they like, hi, are they like, hi? Inside joke, inside joke. Inside joke, inside joke, inside joke. Go ahead, go ahead.
Yeah, but they are, so I guess now they see it's financially economical to get black people into their thing. And it just blows me up that there's two cults sitting right across from each other. One is black and one is white on Euclid Avenue.
You know, one person's cult is another person's church. I have to always keep that in mind. One person's cult, one person's pagan is another person's religious belief or religious way of life. A pagan say,
well,
I am.
What cults mainly is centered around man. Like a man has started it, and they basically are, everything is centered around that man, as opposed to, you know, shifting the attention to God, so to speak. That's a whole other can of worms. You shifting it to God, and you can only access God through me, as some of, I ain't gonna get into it. But
right.
Go ahead.
All right. So this came down last week, you know, like Friday, and so we didn't get to it on Friday because it came down after the show. Former Trump aide arrested for participating in child porn distribution ring. Former Trump aide arrested for participating in child porn distribution ring. Everybody's like, oh, see, oh, yeah, the apple doesn't fall too far from the tree.
Right, that's exactly what they're saying.
So I just thought that was interesting that they grabbed this guy. If you see Borat, if you watch Borat, you need to watch that, Borat, the subsequent movie. We did the review on it, and you should go watch the review on the Film Review Live channel, episode 146. We did the review on Borat, the subsequent movie. And, you know, it's hilarious, but there are certain things that happen in it. One thing with Rudy Giuliani, for one thing, and another thing with Mike Pence. And so you should definitely watch that film. It is escapism. It will have you escape. You will be entertained, and you will be laughing your side off. It's on Amazon Prime. But definitely go, you know, check out the review. Okay, so speaking of black history that people cannot deny, this right here is black history that people cannot deny. Did you know that dry cleaning was invented in 1871 by a black man named Thomas Jennings? Thomas Jennings owned a dry cleaning business in New York City and was the first black man in the United States to be granted a patent for dry cleaning. So you see, do you notice certain things that we devalue in this society? Or they have moved the clothing to make us devalue that type of business. And we really devalue the business if it is owned by a black person, a dry cleaning business, right? You would think that the dry cleaning business was created by Jewish people if you did not know what the truth is. And we are so easy to forget our own history, our story. We're so easy to forget our story, right? Thomas Jennings made it possible so that when you wore your suit, it was all wool back then, boy. I remember a guy came into the store before they changed the fabric. Because did you know that, Tonya, did you know that people wore wool suits year round? Because that was the only fabric that they had to make suits with, because it was based on it was really based on Caucasians, right? The wool suit. So they wore the wool in the summer. They wore the wool in the spring. They wore the wool in the fall. They wore the wool in the winter, right? And he said that he would be sweating up a storm in the suit, right? Black man, right? But he was so glad that they came with other materials, rayon, cotton, etc., to make suits out of, right? And matter of fact, you can look at the guy's suit jacket on here, the man's suit jacket on here, Thomas Jennings, and you can look at it and it looks like wool. All right. Now we don't know when this picture was taken, but if it was in the summertime, he was sweating up a storm. But he came with the technology to make it possible that if you wrinkles your suit, no worries, come in, bring it to the dry cleaner, and the dry cleaner would clean your suit for you, and your suit would be ready in, 7 days, depending, 3 to 7 days, and your suit will be ready for Sunday. 3 to 5 days, and your suit will be ready for the following Sunday. All right. Now, it's Miscellaneous Mondays, and you know what we do? We cover stories that you probably did not hear about. This one came across the press. Team accepted officer who killed Tamir Rice. Team accepted officer who killed Tamir Rice. Black players feel betrayed. Team accepted officer who killed Tamir Rice. Black players feel betrayed. Now, this is in North Royalton, Ohio. Now, for people who don't know how Cleveland is structured, like when you watch the ball games on the weekend, or you watch the baseball games during the week, or ball games, I'm talking about basketball during the week too, or football on Sundays, and you'll see the stadium filled with Caucasians. You would think that Cleveland, Ohio, the city proper, was majority Caucasian. Back in 1992, The population in Cleveland turned 51% black then, back in 1992, right? So the way that Cleveland is structured and the way that the news media is structured in Cleveland, everything has to do with the hour and 45-minute commute in from places like Eastlake, Westlake, North Ruralton, Strongsville, etc., 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 right? Because when the realtors came in and said the blacks are moving in, it's going to take your property value down, commit urban sprawl out in the suburbs. Take all the money with you and leave, steal all the money and leave. Politicians. Then the media shift to talking about hour and 45 minutes. You very seldom see, and maybe Tonya can tell me because we haven't been there now in 9 years, but you can tell me, they never talk about what's happening in the inner city streets as far as plowing is concerned. When your side street, if you live on a side street of a main thoroughfare, when it's going to be plowed, but they definitely talk about I-90, 480 East, 480 West. They talk about all those places all during the morning news, but you never hear about your neighborhood in Cleveland, Ohio, because it's not geared towards the 51% plus city, Cleveland City proper, that is actually probably more than 51% black now. It's not based on the city proper, it's based on those who did white flight. Is it still that way?
Yep. Anything that you want to know that's going on in our neighborhoods, you got to go dig it up, or if you want, with regards to plowing and things like that, you got to call your local councilman and log a complaint if the plows haven't been around, if the trash trucks haven't been around in a timely manner, things like that. You have to call your local councilman. Whereas I think that you get up to the minute news on those other areas. I mean, North Royalton, you hear about that every day. Every day during the morning commute, coming in from North Royalton, coming in from Strongsville, places like that.
Berea.
You hear about them on the news.
Berea, just stuff like that, right? So look, I preface this story by letting you know what the dynamic, the political, the socio-political, economic dynamic is in the city of Cleveland. And even having a black mayor or a black police chief, that doesn't change a thing. So when you see those people, they take that hour and 45-minute trek in, and they take that hour and 45-minute trek out from sports, right? They get blitzed on 6th Street after the game, and they risk accidents and death. I mean, it's worse than Vegas. Oh no, I don't think anything is worse. But anyway, traffic-wise, I don't think anything is worse. I retract that statement. But they risk bodily harm and death driving under the influence back out an hour and 45 minutes, unless they have designated drivers. I wouldn't know that because I don't try to keep up with the plight of those who did white flight instead of having multicultural communities. And what's happening, Cuyahoga County is the Democratic stronghold, which is also the stronghold for black folks. And they have been creating zones of regentrification to try to break that base, where it's people, where apartments are being built, condos are being built, where they are out of the price range of those, and it's regentrification. you know, re-herbalization. We talked about herbalization on the show. So, I prefaced this story by telling you, so this is in North Royalton, and the only thing that was good in North Royalton to me was Phil Reddish. When I searched him out, I called all over because no one had the 1200 turntables back in 1990, and we had to travel all the way out to North Royalton to Phil Reddish, to Reddish Sound and Music, instrument and electronic store, to get my 1200 turntables, right? He had to way out to get travel way out there just to find some 1200 turntables, right? So, this is happening in North Royalton. There is nothing nice in North Royalton because most of the people, and I might add that a lot of the jobs, black people have to be hired at a great job, you have to travel out that 145 minutes, which means you have to deal with police that look at you. What are you doing here as you're traveling back home after hours? Because we've never had sun downtown, though they try. But anyway, so this is in North Royalton, and you know, it's a stronghold, police officers, etc., etc. And this is a police league, right? It's a police league. So let's read through this article and let's go.
The Cleveland Warriors, an amateur football team in Northeast Ohio made up of police officers, prison guards, and first responders, had some unwanted visitors at their practice Saturday. While a handful of young and middle-aged white men wearing helmets and shorts ran through passing plays at the indoor sports complex in North Royalton, 5 black men, including former players on the team and local activists, watched and yelled at the players and coaches. I just want to let you know that practice is over with, said the protesters' organizer and former team member Randy Knight, because they're harboring a murderer. Knight and the others came out early on a cold Saturday morning in January to protest the presence of one player, Timothy Lohman, the former Cleveland Division of Police officer who shot and killed 12-year-old Tamir Rice in 2014. I'm in pictures with this guy, Knight said during an interview the day before. I'm playing football with this guy. You know how my family would think of me? Knight left the team earlier this month. He said he had no idea he'd been playing with Lohman. He found out from a clerk at a sporting goods store. And Knight believes the people running the team intentionally hid Lohman's identity. That's not a recognizable face, you know, Knight said. Everyone else is called by his last name. Everyone else, Knight, Sullivan, but when it comes to Timothy, they call him Tim or Timmy. Team leadership at the practice declined to comment for this story. Follow-up calls the day after the practice were not returned. All investigations into Lohman have ended in similar outcomes. Local prosecutors never charged Lohman for a crime in the killing of Tamir Rice. The U.S. Department of Justice recently closed this investigation into the shooting without bringing a civil rights case. Knight said 6 people were kicked off the team after objecting to Lohman's presence, all black and under the age of 33. At Saturday's practice, team members called the police, and Knight and the activists moved their protests outside while ended peacefully once all the players left. Lohman wasn't out on the field practicing that day. Knight claimed his truck was in the parking lot. He was not seen exiting the facility. A Warrior roster from 2018 posted an online list Lohman as an offensive lineman and member of the Cleveland Police Department. What bothered Knight and other former players most was the members of the team knew who Timmy was but kept his identity hidden. It wasn't no hard feelings towards him. It wasn't like no anger or nothing, former team member Bijan Walker said. Walker has played on the team since 2013, and his long tenure added to the surprise about not being told sooner. We took a lot of team photos with him, Walker said. What if one of those pictures were to surface or to be shown somewhere, and then a lot of angry people in the community we live in, and they were to see it? The black players approached team president Bill Safranco about Loman's presence. League rules require that players are active duty first responders. Loman didn't meet that requirement. The Cleveland Division of Police fired Loman for lying on his job application. According to Knight, Safranco's response was he thought the players knew who Timmy was. Then he claimed Loman was leaving the team, but he remained. Safranco declined to comment for his story during Saturday's practice and didn't return calls the day after. Another player
Okay. That's good. That's good. A bunch of Caucasian babble. All right. First of all, Linda Grisham, I see that you're watching. Thanks for watching. Miss Ash says, yes, it's still like this, the way that they cover on the news. So look, let me bring this up. The black police officers say there's no hard feelings towards him. We just don't want people to know that we were playing with him. We didn't know it was him, and then people will be angry at us in the community. No real protest over the fact that he killed a young boy who had a play gun. No freeze, no get down on the ground, nothing. Just as soon as they pulled up, pop, 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 it's over. So the anger that you hear from them is really still indoctrinated with the training that they get to be police officers anyway. What you have to believe to be a patty roller anyway. And you know, the things that we talk about here on the show, you probably don't hear, if you're in Cleveland right now, you probably don't hear other Cleveland people talk about the way that they cover the weather, right? The commute in, the commute out. I've been talking about that as soon as I discovered that that's the way it was, and that's been over 30-some years. When I discovered that that's the way it was, I always talked about it, but people don't speak up. People don't talk. People are walking around in zombie land and they don't even care. And because you don't care, they don't care, and they continue to do what they do, and they continue to get away with it because they don't care. Which brings us to the next meme, as they're trying to clip. They're not clipping as bad as usual, but they are now starting to say, oh, it's no longer perfect streaming and all that. This comes from Dr. Boyce Watkins. This is a double play. We've had 3 of his today, but this is the second in a triple play, I'll say. Dr. Boyce Watkins, Politics Makes Strange Bedfellows. The dumbest thing a young person can do is not listen to older people. Take some advice from those who came before you. It might save you 20 years of misery. That's right. But what happens if the people who are older than you don't have anything going on upstairs themselves? And they don't talk about conversation like this. If you are an American black person and your family members have not talked this type of conversation with you, then they are willfully, either they know and they are willfully setting you up for disaster, or they don't know because they were ticky, 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 boom, 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 ticky, ticky, boom, 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 and my beat goes boom. boom, boom. I live in Las Vegas. There's lots of catch action there. Say freaka naja toi. Come closer, dear. Me spin you in my Ferrari. And I'm going to pretend you're my Ferrari. And I will drive. I'm going to show you why Egyptian lover is so live. As my beat goes boom, boom, boom. But they ticky, ticky, boom. Boom, boom, boom. But they're ticky, ticky, boom. They're ticky, ticky, boom. If they haven't told you this, and your life is on the line, the less you know, the less you have learned, because you're constantly learning. Your life is on the line. If they haven't told you this, they're ticky, ticky, boom, and you need to, as soon as possible, get up, graduate, and get away from ticky, ticky, boom. I'm going to tell you, because they're going to tell you, white people are your friends. Let's move to the next. White police are your friends. Dr. Boyce Watkins, triple play. Every hashtag black man in America should be raised to know as much about hashtag money as he knows about sports. Economics is a sport too. Actually, it's a war. Every black man in America should be raised to know as much about money as he knows about sports. Economics is a sport too. Actually, it is a war. Make sure on February 12th that you watch the film, right, coming on HBO Max, entitled Judas and the Black Messiah. Judas and the Black Messiah. Make sure that you watch that film, because it is, for once, an actual film that somehow it snuck through, right? Because the consultant on it is the wife of Fred Hampton, right? Whose son, Fred Hampton Jr., continues the move for American blacks to be free, and even in a more global context, people globally who are oppressed to be free, right? Not to be freed, but to be free. And war, he has something that he says about war. He says, war is politics. Politics can be war, meaning war is politics devoid of peace. Peace is politics devoid of war. How you use politics is determined by the people. But what if the people don't have a strong grasp on politics? What if their politics go along with their oppressors' politics? What if the people's politic goes along with their oppressors' politic? Oh, just wait. Oh, this, that. North Royalton, the black police were talking, but in the article, they weren't talking anything strong, because, they still need those people to back them up, and they don't need to be backed up and then not backed up, and then they find themselves dead on arrival, right? So it's a catch-22, right? A catch-22. You got something you want to say to that as they start to clip us, because we're getting into the true